This spring, you faced a decision that, in the current climate, a lot of players in your talent level have to face.
Hmm.
You had a very promising freshman campaign. You decided to enter the transfer portal. You had, all the top programs from the West Coast to the East Coast interested. You had, NBA scouts aware. You ultimately made the decision to return to San Francisco. What went into that decision?
It was basically like a loyalty thing. Obviously, like throughout my whole journey of playing basketball, I've been loyal to the ones who were loyal to me. Through AAU to high school to now college, I want to keep the same traits and characteristics that I've grown up with as a person, and I feel like staying loyal to San Francisco and feeling like San Francisco can give me a chance to get to the NBA. So why not just make it happen here instead of going to a bigger program to try to make things easier? And people always say it's the grass isn't green on the other side. So it's like I will be going into a program that I don't really know the coaches like that. I haven't been in their system, and you never know. They're in the portal recruiting a lot of guys just like me in my position as well. I know here at San Francisco I was a priority. When I entered the portal, I met with our head coach CG, as we call him, every single day. He was telling me every single day, giving me reassurance that he was fighting to do whatever he needed to do to keep me here, and ultimately he ended up withholding his word, and I decided to stay.
You talked about a little bit staying local to your high school team. You battled some injuries in high school. You didn't get to experience some of these, elite camps and some of the really fun parts of being a high school recruit, high school basketball player. You kind of got to experience a little bit of that this summer. You got the, exclusive invite to participate at USAB's junior national team mini camp in Colorado Springs. Got invited Damian Lillard's Formula Zero elite camp. Talk about a guy who made it, NBA top 75 player all time out of a mid major. What did it mean for you to have those experiences? And then how did you make the most of them throughout this summer?
Yeah, well, obviously, as we said last time, I didn't get to do a lot of stuff in high school, and I feel like that was going to happen again this summer with obviously with my injury in March, our first round of NIT game. It came around with Team USA coming by, and I'm sitting here like, all right, I got to ask the doctors and do whatever I can. I was talk to so many doctors. I seen our team doc. I kept getting evaluated each week, and ultimately, I got cleared to go play. Um, it obviously like throughout my family, I talked to my family, talked to our coaches and stuff. They thought it would be best for me to stay, but I was like, I can't give up another opportunity like this, like I did in high school. I would regret not going out there and trying to at least make the team. Obviously, I was healthy enough to play and make it through minicamp. It just was unfortunate for me not to make the team, but I was just obviously grateful to be there in that opportunity because there was 30 kids there, and I was one of the last two people or three people to get cut on the team that obviously went and won a gold medal. So having the opportunity was obviously a blessing for me. Everything happens for a reason. If I was meant to be on that team, I would have been there with that team. So I just look at stuff as like steps of the process, learning lessons, and then the Dame camp was obviously another blessing for me. I wasn't gonna go actually. It's the craziest part. Like I talked to my family once I got the invite. It was right after USA, and I was like, I'm not gonna lie, I can't go make it. And a week before, 2 weeks before, they text me, and I was like, I'm sorry, but I won't be able to go make it. I won't be able to go to the camp because I'm hurt. I won't be able to participate. And when their reply is what shocked me the most. Most camps won't tell you that you can still come in even though you're not participating, and that's what they told me. They're like they were not worried about basketball. They picked me as my characteristics as a person, and they still wanted me to be there because obviously I got an invite for a reason. And that was just a blessing for me. Knowing that people care about you not just for basketball, because obviously college players and NBA players, they go through that. Like they think people only care about them for what they do on the court, but knowing that there's people that care about me outside of basketball and care about me as a person, it was truly a blessing for me. It was a great experience. A week learning from a lot of guys, like talking to Dame, and hearing things from him, and asking questions in the court. As I wasn't participating, I was able to be more engaged into the little things and ask more questions and get more knowledge, and just be a sponge to that knowledge because there was a lot of pro guys in there, and there was a lot of life learned lessons I learned from that camp as well.
Speaking to the Formula Zero, I've been fortunate to be a part of that program. It's unique. You spoke to it a little bit. I think one moment that was really cool, and I'll allow you to expand on it, is pre-practice one of the days, you were super engaged with Wesley Matthews, 10-year NBA player. What do you remember learning from him, and what are some of the things you were trying to pick up around guys like Damian Lillard, Anthony Simons, Evan Turner, and then a plethora, NBA coaches, Phil Beckner?
Yeah, I'll talk about that day with Wesley Matthews. Obviously, he was a great defender. So, that's kind of the nitpicking thing that I had with that, because this year and last year, I guarded the best players, and I want to take the challenge of guarding the best players again this year, especially with, a better schedule preseason wise that we have. I'm going to be going against top-notch guys, SEC players. We have Big Ten games, and I feel like I just want to be ready for those matchups. So when you're around an elite defender, you gotta take in some knowledge, because a lot of people don't want to play defense, and defense is kind of one of the things I do well. And if I can advance my skills in defense and pick up a little bit more, signs of what to watch with players, how to like obviously with him, I was just talking about how to navigate screens, how to beat people to the spot and navigate where they're going, and get them exactly where you want them to be to where they're uncomfortable. And he was just telling me like the tricks that he did, with the arm bar. He taught me the essence of the arm bar. It's not a foul if you're arm barring, and you're guiding the offensive player where you want them to be, and ultimately beating them to that spot. And then he was just telling me to play solid. A lot of people go for steals, but being solid and on defense is the way that you get most of your stops. You don't really get steals that many. Nobody's gonna average more than 2 to 3 steals a game. So just staying solid is more like how you shut people down and get stops.
Yeah, I enjoyed kind of being on the wall for a moment like that, and it was kind of funny to see, him. He was in like running shoes, he was in like Sambas, Adidas
Yeah.
Sambas, and like you guys were like struggling to get past him. He's just showing you like, hey, there's a lot of little details, the kind of the game within the game. What are some of the things on the court you thought you did a pretty good job of as a freshman?
Last year, I feel like the thing that really made me stand out is my movement off the ball. I fit in really well with our offense with cutting, and I feel like as an elite cutter, it kind of put me in great position to be an elite offensive rebounder. And I feel like I was a great rebounder for our team. Led our team in rebounds as a wing, which is really really huge for us. And I feel like that was like my thing: knock down open shots, cut, move the ball, be a glue guy basically for our team. And then this year, had multiple meetings with CG, and they want me to keep that role, keep doing those things great, but they want me to also incorporate, coming off ball screens, shooting the ball more efficiently, and being a decision maker. So those are the main things I'm kind of trying to improve on right now, while also keeping, the aspect of being hungry to rebound the ball, playing defense, and be willing to give myself up on cuts. Also to just, obviously keep the flow of the offense moving around.
I know you're a gym rat. I know you're a big player development guy. You love getting in the gym. You love getting your reps.
Yep.
What's that routine like? Is it similar to what you were doing as a freshman? Are there different things you've added to the routine?
I'll say my routine is definitely different right now. I'm still trying to get a feeling for it. So I'll say like right now, last year I slept in a lot. This year I'm waking up every morning around 8 a.m. Go get treatment. Obviously I have class around 10 every day. So it gives me time to eat here, get on my scooter to school. It's probably 5 to 10 minutes. Um, and then I get treatment, meet with the coaches, watch film and stuff like that. Go to class, get back right before practice, and get warmed up for practice. Don't have study hall no more this year, thankfully. So after practice, I'm tubbing, more rehab. Then I'm just relaxing until class. After class, I've been trying to find a better time that benefits with like my trainers, which is basically my coaches, to get in the gym. Like today, since I don't have class tonight, we're going to go at 8:30. Usually, I think 8 to 9 is kind of that sweet spot for me to just get in the gym. And then after, it gives me enough time to rehab. Still, I have Normatex here to get into Normatex, tub if I need to, and just eat and relax, do homework. So that the schedule is kind of more simple this year, thankfully, because of the less course load of school and study hall and all that stuff. So I think that'd be like my set routine for this year.
You a cold plunge guy?
Unfortunately, I gotta get used to it. My rehab is contrasting. I got to get in the hot tub and then cold tub, then hot tub again. It's not very fun, but it makes me feel good. So I've just been doing that.
You spoke a little bit about your relationship with Coach. What's that like?
Yeah, obviously he's a player's coach. Love the guy to death. Anytime I need something, I know I can call him. Our coaches all live close to the gym and close by campus, so occasionally I'll pop up, play with his dogs. I tell him all the time I'm going to take one of his dogs. And I never get a chance to, but sometime this year I'll plan on having one of his dogs for like a weekend or something, just to keep my mind off basketball, or something of that nature. But like he's always somebody that you could talk to or anything. I feel like all our coaches are, and he's just a fun coach to be around. Pop in his office anytime, even if you don't speak basketball, he's gonna ask you about outside life, how you're eating, stuff of that nature, what you do in your free time, if if you're well rounded and you're just overall good. And I feel like all our coaches do a great job of checking in on us, even if it's through a text. Like if you're at home, they're texting and calling and making sure we're good throughout the breaks and stuff like that. So I feel like they just show that they care about us off the court as well as on the court as well.
What was that conversation like when you told Coach and the rest of the staff that you were officially coming back for your sophomore season?
Yeah, so when I told Coach, I think the rest of the staff was they were recruiting, I believe. So every coach was gone except him. So I had um I had talked to him, I'll say the night before. I was like, "Yo, coach, what time are you gonna be in tomorrow? Need to talk to you." And when I got there, he was already in his office. He had his dogs, his wife was there, and he had also invited my teammate Ryan. And he said he did all that because he had a good feeling that I was staying. And I tried to play a trick on him, saying I was going somewhere else. And when I say his face, man, it was like just sadness. But I had to play with him. I had to trick him a little bit. But ultimately, when I told him I was staying, he jumped out his chair, hugged me. He was just excited. And then he ended it off with, now it's time to just get to work. We're on a mission this year, and obviously we want to make it to the tournament. So that's really what we were focused on from that day on.
Definitely. You talk about getting to work. You guys have a pretty awesome schedule as well in
Yeah.
the non-conference.
Yep.
And you're technically a mid-major, but you're in a pretty good league playing really high-level competition early in the season. How excited are you to play like those big games? And then what are your goals for this season?
Yeah. I'm extremely excited. With after that meeting, obviously me and Ryan were like, "Yo, coach, we gotta if we want to get what we gotta go. We gotta get some bigger games, like preseason wise. We gotta go play some away games if that's what it takes." And I feel like they put together a great schedule for us to go and give ourselves the best chance to make it to the tournament. Obviously, we just didn't want to schedule those games. We want to win those games. So doing whatever we can to win those games and preparing for those games is the most important part. And I feel like they built a great roster of players. We all meshed together, and I feel like we're going to have the best opportunity to go and win those games. It's not going to be like, oh, USF is a major underdog with talent. We have all the talent on our team to go compete with those bigger teams. It's just we're on a lower platform, which is all good. Um, but I'm just excited for this year, and like expectations for myself is just doing whatever I can to obviously lead our team to the ultimate goal, which is the tournament, and give ourselves the best chance to try to cut a net down. That's the mentality we have every day coming into practice when we're competing against each other. Is we're not competing to beat the smaller teams on our schedule. We're competing to make it to the tournament and make a deep run in March, and make a name for USF.
Damian Lillard, Jalen Williams, Steph Curry, Paul George, John Morant, Kawhi Leonard, Pascal Siakam, Trey Murphy, CJ McCollum, Fred VanVleet, AJ Mitchell, Deron Holmes, Ben Shepherd, Jonathan Mogbo. The list goes on and on. The NBA is full of mid-major players. Talk about that mid-major pride.
Yeah, mid majors is just a conference thing in my opinion. It's honestly a money situation also with schools. I feel like if you have the talent, then you're going to be seen. That's kind of my mindset with things. Talking to Dame, it kind of made me realize that I don't need to be at a high major program. Like he said, he's seen a lot of high major guys, and now where they are right now is not compared to where he is because he went through the struggles of grinding and going through he's a mid-major guy, and force him to work harder. And I feel like I talk to him a lot now from the camp. He gave me his number to talk to him because he knows what it feels like to be a mid-major guy. And any questions I have, I just reach out to him and try to get advice, especially because we were both rehabbing at the time too. So it was like a rehab text, check in and see like what I can do, what he's been doing to get better, see if I can implement that into my rehab. And it's just more of like a mentality thing. I feel like as a mid-major guy, I went to technically, if you think about it, a mid-caliber high school, low-caliber high school team, and turned him into a powerhouse. So it's like I feel like if I just keep my head down and working and work and can not look left or right, keep my head straight, don't worry about anybody else's successes, stay on my path and stay on my journey, then it'll all work out in the end.
Well said. Well, Tyrone, I appreciate your time and wishing you the best this season.
Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. Looking forward to talking again.